What up, world? Happy Tuesday. Welcome to another jam-packed edition of the Blunt Talk Sports Podcast, NBA Finals Game 2 Recap Edition. I am your host, Anthony Wright, coming to you from the cloudy and spring-like confines of Atlantic City, New Jersey. Wherever you may be watching or listening, I thank you as always. Like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel. You can check the Blunt Talk Sports Podcast not only on YouTube, but on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Substack, Patreon, and as well as on Podbean and Trovo. Don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Thanks. Happy to be here on this beautiful June 10th, 2025, guys. Recapping game 2 of the NBA Finals. Now, I know the game was actually 2 days ago, but had a lot going on. A lot of jam-packed episodes coming down the pike for you guys. So didn't get a chance to drop it yesterday, but nonetheless, I'm going to do a review for it today. It was definitely a blowout by the Thunder. Thunder definitely took command of this game and definitely tied up the series. I'll definitely touch on that. I'll touch on some of the NBA offseason rumor mill news that's going on between KD, Giannis, and other guys of that ilk. And also touch on some injury news related to Darius Garland of the Cleveland Cavaliers. So a lot of things to unpack. But before we get started, I always want to make sure I give a shout out to a couple of my friends from the show. First one being Sony PlayStation. Sony PlayStation, I don't know if you guys are gamers like myself, but I'm an avid video game player. I love Sony PlayStation. I've been playing this since 1996, and I implore anyone that if you are an avid PlayStation fan, definitely check the description link in the box, the description box with the link in this video. There will be a link to Sony PlayStation's Days of Play. Now, it started May 25th. It does end June 25th, so you have a little bit of time now. It being the 10th, you got about roughly 15 days. I would definitely encourage you check out the sales that they have there. Ton of things on the online right now for Sony PlayStation. And like I said, if you want to add accessories, games, bundle packages, whatever you're looking for, they do have it. Sony PlayStation, more than a game. Looking to get out this weekend, looking to take your spouse out, have a great time with some friends, then look no further than the #1 leading ticket seller and reseller in the world, StubHub. #1 seller in the world for live events, tickets, shows, and concerts, StubHub. All right, guys, so hopping into this recap, we're going to talk about the Game 2 of the NBA Finals, as I previously stated. The Thunder were able to pull out a big victory, 123-107, defeating the Indiana Pacers and tying the series up 1-1. It was a tight game to start. It was a good game for, early to mid portion of the first half. By the middle of the first half, though, towards the end, Oklahoma City started to pull away. You can see Oklahoma City came out with energy and a purpose. As usual, Pascal Siakam was setting the table for the Indiana Pacers early on, trying to get guys involved, trying to get guys ready. So, you saw that. Also, what I thought was also very interesting was, if you notice, Indy had a rough time shooting from the three-point range. They only shot 35%. They were 14 of 40 for the game. That is definitely something where you see the roles reversed the other night, where it was the Thunder who were hitting their three-point shots at a better rate and better clip than the Pacers were. And it wasn't about much. The Thunder only had a 38% shooting percentage from three-point range, but in comparison to 35, that's a make or break difference in a basketball game. Also, Chet Holmgren, major factor in this game. He was kind of absent in game 1, definitely was more of a force in game 2. Now, he had 15 points. He had 6 rebounds. He also was 1 of 3 from three-point range, but more importantly, 6 of 11 from the field, which whenever he's aggressive and more decisive, Oklahoma City is just that much more dangerous. So you got to give him credit for that. And like I said, they kept attacking. The Thunder kept attacking Indy in the paint. If you're looking as far as paint points are concerned, let me take a look here. Yeah, they shot 45%. Now, in comparison, the Thunder shot 48%. In comparison, the Pacers shot 45%. So it's one of those situations where you clearly saw that the Thunder were not going to go into this game losing. They knew already what the task was. They knew what the assignment was. They said, we were going to attack this team in all facets, and we're going to force Halliburton to pass that ball, which they did. He very much had a bad game, struggled mightily. Looking here at his final numbers, 17 points, 6 assists, 3 rebounds, 3 of 8 from 3, 7 of 13 from the field. You know, he had some floaters, but he wasn't aggressive enough early on in the game, the way that the Pacers needed for him to, you know, pretty much have a chance to even be in it and win it late. So that definitely cost him. Halliburton did not play his best game whatsoever. And then you can see Oklahoma City has started to pull away towards the middle of the second quarter. 3 ball was flowing for him, so they had it. I mean, you could see that the energy was there for him. And then Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I mean, this kid is just on another fucking level right now. I mean, another quiet 34-point game. Has 8 rebounds, 4 steals. He had a block, 5 rebounds, you know, 1 of 4 from 3-point range, but 11 of 21 from the field. When he's playing like this, when he's got that 3 ball going, if he hits 1 or 2, it's a situation where the other team is fucked. I mean, this guy literally, whatever he wants, he gets. He is in another stratosphere. He is on another plane right now as far as getting whatever he wants, getting to the basket. It looks real LeBron-esque, real Kobe-esque, real Jordan-esque. These are the same guys that you saw. They get into the paint, whatever. They need a 2, whatever. They need a 3, they get it. SGA is just on another level, man. And definitely proved that he's MVP. And if they keep up at this rate, he'll be the finals MVP as well. And the 3 ball, like I said, obviously I stated previously, was flowing for Oklahoma City. Oklahoma's defense was outstanding in this game. They forced Indiana off a lot of good shots, which is hard because Indiana will take the good shots. But I give Oklahoma City credit. They forced them off that 3-point line. They forced them into bad shots, and it definitely helped. Now, in that second half, it got even worse because you could see where the line of delineation was real. It was the ball movement. If you're looking as far as assists for a team, you got 25 assists from the Thunder, and you had 27 from the Pacers. However, when you look at the real indication of this game, what it came down to, a lot of it was rebounding. I mean, Oklahoma City had 43 rebounds to 35 from the Pacers. I mean, that's just not good enough. Also, too, something else that did not get factored into it, the free throw shooting. Oklahoma City is a way better free throw shooting team than Indiana. Indiana, for some reason, whether it's Siakam having his struggles or, so, I mean, I don't know what it is, but like these guys, they never could have a clean game where they hit all their free throws. You know, typically you're going to miss one, but in a game like this, the misses pile up. I mean, think about it. Siakam, way better game from the free throw line. He's 8 of 9. Miles Turner, 3 of 4. 2 of 4 Nemhard. 5 of 7, Mathurin, 1 of 2, Thomas Bryant. When you got it, you got to hit those shots. They're free throws. I mean, I'm not saying that they're always automatic, but damn it, they're free throws. That's the whole reason why you take them. Definitely wasn't a good game from Indiana's standpoint in that aspect. Miles Turner, I got to give him credit. He was the only offense for Indy in the third quarter. He was definitely trying to keep them in the game. As I stated, Halliburton wasn't aggressive, so he really needed to step up and play well. And then I want to make sure I give a shout out to Aaron Wiggins, who had a monster fucking game for Oklahoma City, 18 points. He had, I think it was 4 rebounds. Yes, he had 4 rebounds. And to add insult to injury, 5 of 8 from 3-point range, which was fucking deadly. Oklahoma City needs a guy like that every night that can hit consistent threes. If they can get that makes this team even more deadlier. Aaron Wiggins definitely showed up. He killed the Pacers. And then the big 3 for Oklahoma City showed up. Like I said, and also Jalen Williams, make sure I give him his props. Part of the big 3 for Oklahoma City. 19 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. He also, let's see here, he was 1 of 5 from 3, but he was 5 of 14 from the field. So he wasn't hella efficient, but he was effective. Also, too, like I said, we talked about Chet Holmgren and SGA. So ultimately, outstanding game by the Thunder. They put the Pacers in a very bad situation. This game 3 Friday night is going to be pivotal because I feel whoever wins game 3 will probably win this series. If you're Indiana, you really want the upset, you're going to have to win game 3. This team, this OKC team is too good. You saw after a major game where you were losing throughout, if you were India, you were losing throughout the game, you stole it, put a bad taste in their mouth, and you saw how they responded. So if you're Oklahoma City, you know, a little bit more of the same, you know, a little bit better shooting from three, keep the ball movement going. But if you're Indiana, you definitely need Halliburton to be more aggressive and actually hit those shots. And you need those guys to definitely hit their free throws and actually fight on the boards. I mean, it was kind of disgusting watching them fight for rebounds. It just sometimes was lack of effort, or they were just kind of lost in the lights. I don't know, but definitely need a better effort from Indiana if they're going to have any shot at winning Game 3. Also, too, I want to touch on a few other things. Let's go here. We're going to touch on NBA offseason, 10 teams to watch this summer. Now, this article is via Bobby Marks of ESPN. He did a deep dive on the 10 teams that you have to watch this summer. And it's kind of hilarious because when you really pay attention to it, all the teams are definitely teams you need to pay attention to because they're the ones that are going to be, I would think, the biggest players in the NBA trade conversation or the trade machine going into the offseason. Number one, the Boston Celtics. I mean, that's self-explanatory. You just lost Jason Tatum to an Achilles injury in the middle of a postseason run. You got a lot of guys. You got Jaylen Brown, Tatum, and, you know, Derek White locked up until like 2028. So you really, really, really need cap relief. You're going to have to get off Kristaps Porzingis. You're going to have to get off some of these guys. You're not going to be a championship team next year. So very, very crazy. And they're very limited on what they can do. As you will see here on the screen, Boston's roster restrictions, if it remains over the second apron, include the inability to, 1, aggregate contracts sent out in a trade, 2, use more than 100% of the traded player exception, 3, send out cash, which is crazy, 4, use a pre-existing trade exception, and 5, sign a waived player with a salary of at least $14.1 million. So they're limited in what they can do. The Celtics 2033 first round pick will become frozen. Their 2032 pick is already frozen. So they cashed in now. They cashed in now to win championships now, to not worry about it later. This is the thing you have to worry about, though, because, you know, the Warriors, who are also on this list, they're another team kind of in this road where you like, okay, we got a roster that can win. We could add more pieces now and sacrifice now. But if we sacrifice now for later, what the fuck are we going to do later? You know, so it's just a precarious situation if you're the Celtics. Number 2, the Brooklyn Nets. Clearly, with all the capital in the world to make moves, bunch of cap space. Essentially, the question is, do they sign like some mid-tier guys, some decent role players? Are they able to get a star? Brooklyn is a very tantalizing situation right now. Like I said, they don't have to worry about any. They got a lot of draft capital back for the Mikal Bridges trade, and for some reason here, I'm reading here in the article, it says Brooklyn is not allowed to use most of its available cap space in the regular season. Teams have to spend 90% of the salary cap by the first day of the regular season, including its 4 firsts. Brooklyn has $79 million in salary and will need to spend an additional $60 million. So they're getting guys. They're going to be a major player in free agency. I expect them to be better. However, who do they grab is the question. Because I think Brooklyn is a low-key player in all of this, and they cannot be slept on if you're thinking about off-season moves. Next would be the Denver Nuggets. I mean, this goes without explanation. I mean, you'll see the Nikola Jokic quote right here on the screen, but essentially, they got to get depth. They need depth in shooting. You got to figure out a way to get off Michael Porter Jr., Jamal Murray. I've said this since the Olympics. He's just not it. He's just not it. Don't know what happened. Don't know if it's inconsistencies, the injuries, whatever it is. He's just not it. So you got to figure out what the hell is going on there, because with this being the prime of Jokic's career, you got to see if you can get at least another championship run out of this team, but with, some new blood. Now, they do have several options, like I stated. They could develop former draft picks Jalen Pickett, Peyton Watson, Julian Strawther, and Hunter Tyson, and Deron Holmes into consistent rotational players. That is an option. Obviously, they drafted those guys. Now, via trades, because Denver has 1 first-round pick in 2031 or 2032 available, its lone tangible asset is, previously aforementioned, Michael Porter Jr. He had a career-high 18.2 points this season and is owed $38.3 and $40.8 million respectively in the next 2 years. That will not be happening. Denver has also combined $13.5 million in salary of Zeke Nanji and Dario Saric, because Denver is projected to be first apron team is not allowed to take back salary in a trade. Now, that's one option. Now, You also look via free agency. It says the path seems unlikely as the Nuggets are top heavy with salaries of Jokic, Jamal Murray, Porter, and Aaron Gordon, compromising 82% of the salary. Plus, the first year of Murray's extension puts Denver over the first apron again. Unless a trade materializes to clear out salary, Denver has only the veterans minimum exception. They got to get off Murray and Porter. That's just what it is. That plan is not, no one, that doesn't instill confidence in anyone, what they're saying. Develop these young guys. You mean these young guys that haven't really played at all in these past few years? Those young guys? And I'm not saying that their draft evaluation is shit or their scouts are shit, but let's be honest. The Nuggets, if they really had the depth, they wouldn't have been worrying about getting Russell Westbrook and trying to sign guys in the offseason last year. So miss me with that shit. I don't really believe that too much, but they're definitely going to have to make some moves to free up some space to really add to this team. Also, the Golden State Warriors, as I previously mentioned, they're in that situation where do we make cash in some more now to try to win again, or do we wait and try to save for later, being that we know Steph's going to be gone in a couple years, Draymond will be gone. You know, what do we do? It's a very perplexing situation if you're Golden State, because while you still have Steph in your prime, the temptation to literally go for a championship is there. However, you do put yourself in a situation where you don't have a ton of draft assets. You know, you have a ton of draft assets going forward, and you can mortgage the future. However, does that put you in a situation where 4 years, 5 years from now, you're like, fuck, I wish we had those picks? It's a precarious situation. The Warriors are allowed to trade up to 4 first-round picks starting the night of the draft. They can trade the 2026, 2028, 20, and 2030 picks if it's 1 through 20, and the 2032 pick. They also have the right to swap first in the next 7 years if their 2030 pick is in the top 20. So they definitely have control of the situation. But they're going to have to try to figure out how can they get guys without getting rid of possibly Draymond and Jimmy, which is something that's going to be an issue. And then let's not forget, you got the Jonathan Kuminga situation lingering in the background. So a lot of things for the Warriors to try to answer this offseason. I'm not sure they're going to be able to keep Kuminga. I do think they're going to be able to keep Jimmy if they definitely want Jimmy back, because I don't think a team's going to give him a max contract if they were to let him go. But they definitely have a lot of questions to answer, because the ball is in their court. They can definitely cash out some chips and try to win and help Steph win another title, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I think you might have to try to play this smart, because you fuck around in that Western Conference, and in 3-4 years from now, your team's garbage. You're gonna be bad for about 10 years. So crazy. Next is the Houston Rockets. I agree. And I'll show you the quotes here from Raphael Stone, who is a current Rockets GM. I agree with him. You don't stick with continuity for continuity's sake. They're definitely going to be players in free agency. I think they are one of those teams where they know, by seeing that series against Golden State in the playoffs, they realize we're not too far away from being a very good team, a very elite team. Draft equity. Now, let's look at this. They check all the boxes they need to get a major player on their team. They have the draft equity. They have 5 tradable firsts in the next 7 years, including the 10th pick in this year's draft, and unprotected first in 2027, which is Phoenix's, and 2029, which is Phoenix or Dallas, which is terrible. The Rockets can also trade first-round picks in 2028, 2030, and 2032. So ball is definitely in their court, just like the Warriors. They have controllable contracts. A lot of their contracts, a lot of their players are still on their first-round rookie deals. Now, the crazy part is, I think Fred VanVleet is gone, because by June 29th, which is fast approaching, they need to exercise his $44.9 million team option. I definitely don't think he's coming back for that amount. You want to definitely try to make sure you keep Steven Adams in the fold, because you like what you had with him and Sengun. But as previously stated, they're in the same situation as Golden State, and I do feel that they're probably going to get a superstar, because Houston, that's the only thing Houston's really lacking to really compete in the Western Conference. Next will be the Los Angeles Lakers. This goes without saying, they need a big man. They need a big man. Now, they don't really have the cap space to go after Miles Turner, which is definitely a disappointment. He would have definitely have helped. They do have their 2031 and 2032 first-round pick, and 5 years of pick swaps, and the 2024 first-round pick, Dalton Knecht, and over $70 million in expiring contracts. Austin Reeves, Dorian Finney-Smith, Roy Hachimura, Maxi Kleber, and Gabe Vincent to use in a trade. So you got that situation going for him. And also, too, you figure because LeBron and Luka are there especially, they're going to definitely try to do whatever they can to keep this team in championship contention. They got to find a way to get a good big. I don't know if they're going to get a great big man, but they got to get a big man that can definitely, run the floor, can do the lob, rebound, get dirty and grimy and gritty, because that's what they were lacking tremendously last year in LA. And definitely three-point shooting. Their three-point shooting was not up to snuff. So I would definitely contest that that's something else they need to look into going into the offseason. Next is the Milwaukee Bucks. Yeah, I mean, this all boils down to if you trade Giannis or not. And it's been well reported. I mean, if they trade Giannis, they're looking for blood. They're not taking it easy on any teams. They're definitely going to try to make sure they get as much as they can to get back. In a Giannis Antetokounmpo trade, when you're trading a MVP, a Finals MVP, a guy who is still playing at a high level, yeah, you want to try to get as much as back as you possibly can. Compounding that issue is the fact that Damian Lillard, who turns 35 in July, still owed $113 million over the next 2 seasons, and there's a great chance he's not playing this season. So that sucks. Still recovering from that torn Achilles. You have Lopez, Bobby Portis, Taurean Prince, Kevin Porter Jr., and Gary Trent Jr., who all become free agents this summer. It says here Portis and Porter have player options, so that could change. But Milwaukee is no longer in the financial hell that they were in the previous seasons, but it's a weird situation because if they don't get rid of Giannis, they technically could still contend in the Eastern Conference. However, if they get rid of Giannis, they're back at zero, starting all over. So interesting decision on what they're going to make there in Milwaukee. We have here the Orlando Magic, who I find this beautiful because the Magic, you can see that they're kind of ready to take that next step by reading the quotes here from Jeff Waltman, their GM. They're ready to take the next step. They definitely can add somebody. This team has progressed. They've made the playoffs the past couple of years, haven't really gotten out of the first round. So I definitely feel like they definitely need an extra guy along with Pablo Banchero and Franz Wagner. This is the thing, though. I mean, you're trying to compete for a top 4 seed in the Eastern Conference. Who do you get? Who do you actually acquire? Because unfortunately, you're in a situation where you have a very young roster. Some guys you're going to have to pay right now. Some guys are going to be due some money that you're like, we need to make sure we get this taken care of right away. So you're in a situation where I would contest. Try to get one of those mid-tiers, not necessarily a superstar, but try to get one of those mid-tier guys who definitely, can play. You can play and plug in, get some minutes, possibly a good 3-and-D player. That's what they're lacking. Pablo Banchero is definitely advancing and progressing each year. Franz Wagner is progressing. But I would contest, their point guard position is definitely lacking at times. The bench has its moments where I'm like, who the fuck is out there and what the fuck are they doing? So the Magic are another one of those teams where definitely are going to have to address some things in the offseason, but I definitely feel like they will. And depending on who it is, I think it could definitely make this team better because I really felt like they could have beaten the Celtics in the first round. They just were too young. But as I stated, the Magic are definitely going to be some players possibly in free agency and in the offseason as well. Going a bit further, we're going to touch on those Phoenix Suns. Yes, those Phoenix Suns who are in cap hell and are trying to make a major move to ultimately get off of Kevin Durant because they can't trade Bradley Beal, and they're just in a rat bastard situation. And obviously, Kevin Durant wants his career to end on a high note, so he's definitely not staying in Phoenix. Now, the thing is, Antetokounmpo is technically the first choice for most teams right now. So Kevin Durant's technically like the secondary option, 1B, if you want to have lack of better words. Now, he was 6th in scoring in the NBA last year. He had 26.6, but, this guy is still a scoring threat, scoring machine. Now, for the trade package, for this to happen for the Suns, there are 3 factors that can play a role in the trade package Phoenix can receive. And it says here, as you can see on the screen, can Phoenix drop below the second apron to aggregate contracts sent out or below the first apron to use more than 100% of the traded player exception? The Suns are projected to be $25 million over the second apron, but could shed a significant salary if Cody Martin, $8.7 million, is waived. Vasily Micic's $8.1 million, and Bradley Beal is brought out of his contract, which I think is possibly an option too. The same apron rules apply to teams interested in acquiring Durant's $54.6 million salary. Also, too, is Durant will be willing to sign a 2-year deal, $112 million contract, and is the team Durant training for still in position to compete for a title after the trade? So, a lot of moving parts, a lot of things that haven't really been done yet. A lot remains to be seen, but that's definitely something that they're going to have to take a look into. Also, we'll go here into the San Antonio Spurs. Last but not least, the 10th team on this list. You got D Fox, you got Wemby. You got Stephen Castle. Now, Stephon Castle might be a guy you might have to move off of at some point because I think his play is just garnering that much attention where you may have to get as much as you can for him, whether another good player or draft picks. But I definitely think he's going to be in play. Not only does San Antonio have 2 picks in the lottery, including number 2, but the Spurs also have the right to swap first with the Atlanta Hawks in 2026, which is insane. The Hawks unprotected first in 2027 and multiple other pick swaps. The Spurs are allowed to trade 2 of their own first-round picks, which is the 2029 and 2031, or 2030 or 2032 picks. The Spurs have 17 second-rounders available to trade, so they're getting rid of some trade picks. They're definitely getting rid of some draft capital. Financial flexibility, they have that to aggregate some contracts. So, yeah, I mean, they're about 32. It says entering the offseason, San Antonio is 32 and $44 million below both respective aprons, not including De'Aaron Fox and Wembanyama. The Spurs have 10 players earning between $3 to $27 million. So great cap work by RC Buford and the Spurs over there. They know what they're doing. This team's going to be contending again definitely next year. But I definitely think they're going to be a player too, because I definitely think they can add somebody and really make that team deadly. You know, if they can get a Kevin Durant, that could change life for them too. Also, on some other free off-season news, front office news, I should say. The Hawks are adding Pelicans GM and former 76ers executive to the front office. It says here that the Atlanta Hawks and new general manager Ansi Salah are finalizing deals to hire New Orleans Pelicans GM Bryson Graham as the team's senior vice president of basketball operations, and 76ers executive Peter Dinwiddie as Senior Vice President of Strategy and Analytics, sources told ESPN on Monday. This is all to help the Pelicans because the Pelicans are struggling. I mean, Joe Dumars is definitely trying to clean house to make sure that this team is competitive going forward. I don't think you could consistently say, I don't think anybody can say that the last job that was done by Griffin at that GM position was great. You know, you did make a lot of moves that, you know, a lot of people thought in the onset were great, but just wound up putting them in a very much, you know, fucked up situation of salary cap hell. You know, and think about David Griffin. He found Herb Jones, he found Trey Murphy III, Yves Missy, you know, Jose Alvarado, Najee Marshall, and Jordan Hawkins. So he did find these guys. But the thing is, I think that the thing that we need to really realize is the Pelicans need to find as much young talent as possible because they're not getting a superstar to come down there. Hell, they may have to get off Zion, depending on how things fall out with him. So, remains to be seen. But shout out to the shout out to the Hawks for trying to get better, trying to make sure that they're adding to their team, trying to make sure that they're definitely doing the necessary things to make sure their front office is thorough going forward and they have a team going forward that's well respected and comparable in the Eastern Conference. And last but not least, I want to touch on this article via Shams Charania of ESPN. Darius Garland, big injury news with Darius Garland. He underwent surgery on his big toe, which will cause him to miss the start of next season. Rehab is looking like it's going to be 4 to 6 months, which is crazy. It's very, very strange too, because coincidentally he was mentioned in a lot of different trade talks possibly for the Cavaliers. So that's definitely put the kibosh on that right now, at least into the trade deadline. And he did get injured during the postseason, which limited his play, which I think also limited the effectiveness that he had for the Cavaliers against the Pacers in that playoff series. And just a sucky situation for Darius Garland, and I hope he can heal up well because he's definitely one of the more exciting players in the NBA. But But that's going to do it for this episode of Blunt Talk Quick Takes, guys. I love you guys. I thank you for always watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Take care and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Oh, excuse me, Tuesday.